Yeah, so we look here in terms of percent to win the title. So, same thing with the men's. This is in terms of how many, the percent of women's bracket challenging brackets have South Carolina winning the title, et cetera. South Carolina at 38.18%. So 38% of our brackets have South Carolina cutting down the nets as the national champion. Iowa, clearly strong number two yet again. Then there's the gap like we saw yesterday. But again, we kind of touched a little bit yesterday, but I think it's worth kind of reiterating the second and third most picked teams are in the same regional. I don't know about you, Autumn. When I saw the Albany 2 regional, I was thinking, I can't wait to get Autumn's thoughts about that regional, see how that one goes. But you can see LSU, defending champion, of course, ahead of all the twos, and UConn also ahead of all the twos. UConn, of course, always a favorite or one of the favorites to win the championship. USC and Texas are the other two one seeds. They're about even right now, which is kind of interesting, but they're trailing 2, 3 seeds. But again, it's all about South Carolina, Iowa, which I think we kind of expected going in, maybe not by this kind of huge margin we're seeing still. A little down from yesterday for South Carolina, but still well above 30%, and Iowa above 30%. So that's kind of the big ones there on the title side.
Yeah,
So Autumn, what do you think?
I would expect those two to be right up there. I mean, South Carolina, in my opinion, I feel like it's South Carolina and then there's everyone else. That gap is so wide when you look at, what they bring, that endless depth, that talent, the defense, rebounding is always a consistent factor. But I feel like this team is not better than last year's team. I mean, come on, you had Aaliyah Boston on your squad last year. But I do feel like this offense is reloaded, it's retooled, and it's dangerous. I mean, last year alone, you had 4 different players who are averaging 8 or more points. This year, you have 7 players to do that for you. Dawn Staley can reach to her bench, put in a starting five, take them out, put in the other bench. I mean, keep going and going. She has so much talent on her team who can't skip a beat throughout the entire game. So I'm not too shocked on this number, but Iowa falling right under. I mean, like you mentioned, Stats, that region is a gauntlet. Whoever is coming,
Yeah.
this is wow, it's going to be a battle to just get to the Final Four because if you look, Iowa's in there, LSU and UCLA, these are 3 teams who I would consider Final Four contenders and could possibly win a national championship when it's all said and done. So Iowa, they're going to have a tough path to get there. Even if you look at the second round, I wouldn't sleep if Princeton gets out in that second round. I have them as a sleeper. They always bring in one of the top defenses in the nation. They're equipped with elite offense that's ran by Caitlin Chin. So they're going to try to get through them. They have Kansas or possibly Kansas State, Colorado. Those could be 2 rematches that we've seen already, not just this season, but Colorado and last year's Sweet 16. So different combinations that, Iowa's going to have to get through in order to reach another championship run. But with Caitlin Clark and the talent that they have, they can do it.
All right, well, let's keep going through the numbers. Maybe let's look at some upset picks. Anything else that stands out to Autumn based on what we have this year? Stats, what are we seeing here?
Yeah, so this is what we expected. The toughest pick game is a 7-10 game. You can see 8-9 here. So no 6-11s leading the pack for toughest game to pick in terms of games that are closest to 50-50 split. So you can see this game, Ole Miss and Marquette, that game in particular, a little over half are picking Ole Miss in that game, but you can tell how close that game is really hard for people to pick. Myself included, I can test that one. I'm going back and forth on that. We could see here, Middle Tennessee is the highest upset pick right now. See up a little bit from yesterday, which is kind of interesting. Green Bay, a team that's won tournament games in the past, they're back as an 11 seed. And then Florida Gulf Coast as a 12 seed is the most picked 12 seed. They've won as a 12 the last 2 years. So if anything, I'm surprised they're not higher in terms of the pick percentage, but not that a quarter of the brackets picking you to win as a 12 seed is low. Just thought that any people remember and be like, I'm not downing them again. I'm going to put them in my second round at least. But we'll see. They play Oklahoma in the first round for Florida Gulf Coast. We'll see if they can go 3-for-3 as winning as a 12 seed.
Yeah, I mean, all of these are great sleepers. Middle Tennessee as an 11 seed. I mean, they were a team in the regular season who knocked off Tennessee. And yes, Tennessee didn't have Rakia Jackson, but this is a consistent NCAA tournament team every single year who come in and try to knock off teams and make a deep run. Green Bay is another team who's had a lot of success this season. In the regular season, they knocked off Washington State and Creighton and also hung very tight with Maryland by 9 points. FGCU Stats. I mean, you know how I feel about this team and what they can bring with Coach Smezko and that 3-point shooting, and now adding elite defense with it. I have them upsetting, possibly who are they going up against? Oklahoma in that first.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, so that would be exciting to see them go into the second round. I have that in my bracket. I'm going to stay true to it. They'll go up against
Love
Indiana.
it.
It's chalk. And Indiana, we still don't know the status of Mackenzie Holmes. So if that's possible, I could see them making a Sweet 16 run. We have to see this Indiana team if they're healthy, but I think they can make a deep run. These are some great sleepers in the tournament that people should watch out for.
Well, let's see the teams that people think can make a run to the Sweet 16 Stats.
Yeah, let's do it. So UNLV is the top double-digit seed. So that's kind of interesting one, kind of inversion, a little different than we saw on the men's side. But, a 10 seed, nothing to be disappointed about. They play Creighton in the first round. So that's kind of where that first round pick's coming from. And the second round, they would have to beat either UCLA or Cal Baptist. UCLA is a 2 seed over there. But, 19%, that's pretty high for a 10 seed getting picked Sweet 16. UNLV, been ranked, they have a lot of wins, so they know how to win. Same with Drake, is also popular on the 12 seed line. Drake could always go on a run. They play Colorado in the first round, that region we talked about, the crazy regional with Iowa, LSU, K-State, Colorado, UCLA, it's all there. So maybe don't sleep on Drake either coming out there. They could be a tough out as well. And Green Bay, of course, also getting picked at above 8%. So that's how it goes down here. But I think what's really cool, Michella and Autumn, if you go here and to make the Final Four, this is just a way to show just how dominant these teams are in people's brackets. Yeah. South Carolina is in the Final Four on 76% of brackets. That's so high, but also would love to meet the people who don't have South Carolina in the Final Four. I just want to know what combo happens to have you leave out the Gamecocks. Iowa, of course, going in above 60% as well. So you can see the gap here again. We saw this in the championship tab. We see it even also here as well, that there are only 2 teams are above 50%, and they're well above 50% making the Final Four, which I think is kind of cool. And then this is a homer pick for a lot of the Lady Vol fans out there. They're only a 6 seed, which is not bad, but for Tennessee's history, that's not something that's too normal. But still they're in the Final Four on almost 5% of brackets in our women's bracket challenge game. That's higher than 4 seeds, 1, 3, and all 5. So Tennessee is getting picked a little above its seed line, but I mean it's Tennessee. I mean you don't want to doubt the history too much there, but we will see if Tennessee can go on a run. They're always in that fan base. They play, of course, Green Bay in the first round, so which is not an easy we'll get out of. But we'll see if the Lady Vols can beat Green Bay in the first round and go on a run.
Well, Stats, I have them going to my Elite 8. I mean, if they can get past this, I'm really high on the Bulls right now, and only because I saw how they competed against the Gamecocks. They had to play the South Carolina team 3 times since February 15th. So either this team is really tired or they're really prepared for the moment. And you look at that first matchup, they only lost by double digits, 11 points. Those next 2 battles, I mean, it was right there in that semifinal game that Camila Cardoso had to hit this buzzer beater for them to even win that game. So they almost knocked off the Gamecocks. Both of those 2 games, those last 2 games that they matched up with them, only by single digits. So this Tennessee team is right here. They're playing their best basketball at the right time. And Riakia Jackson, she is the cheat code for this team. She missed out the first half of the season. Now she's healthy. She's given this Lady Bull team a push, and they will go as far as she will take them.
Well, that's all we have time for right now, but Autumn is going to be back tomorrow, and we're going to go even more in depth. Autumn, for now, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to let you get back to it. I know you have a lot to do ahead of the tournament.